Welcome to Comic Power. I am your host, Comic Killer 72. This segment today is called Wicked Wednesday. If you didn't know, Wednesday is the new release for new comics that come out every week. These are my recommendations for the best books to pick up on Wednesday. I will also name one book to be the speculation pick of the week. For my longtime viewers, I need your help on promoting this channel. Once I hit 500 subscribers, I'll start doing giveaways as a reward. And we're talking key issue comics that will make you happy like Homer with a box of donuts. First up, DC is giving us Batman Beyond Rebirth #1. Whether it's the current Bruce Wayne Batman or it's the future Terry McGinnis Batman, we always need more Batman. And why? Because I'm Batman. That joke never gets old. I'm just gonna keep doing it until y'all are sick of it. Next up is the Blue Beetle #1. Personally, I don't think this character is strong enough for his own title, but there's some people that really love this character. It's sort of like Marvel and Moon Knight. Some version of the Blue Beetle has been published since 1940, so this character's been around as long as Batman. I would be surprised if this lasts longer than 12 issues, but I would give it a shot for issue #1. Next up is Frostbite #1. This is about a dystopian future in which the world has succumbed into another ice age. The artwork alone should make you pick this up. Jason Sean Alexander is the artist here, and he is awesome. He wrote and drew a book on Image called The Empty Zone. It got overlooked because of a crowded market in comics, but it was fantastic looking. His visuals are a real wonder to look at, so I picked this up because of that. And hopefully we get a good story too. Next up is Harley Quinn #1, which is going to a second print, which isn't any surprise. What is a surprise is the print run. Holy comic sales, Batman. This shipped 359,000 copies. And that still was not enough to fill the demand. This character is major. And to think she started out simply as a henchman and a love interest for the Joker back in 1993, she's grown into a cultural phenomenon, a real iconic type of character. And Margot Robbie will reprise her role as Harley Quinn in a future live action movie. And I don't know about you, but I can't wait. Next up is DC Universe Rebirth #1, which is going to a 5th printing. On the final panel of this book, there's a major reveal of who created the new DC Universe. This whole DC reboot from top to bottom has been a major success with Rebirth, as you can see with the multiple printings here. And not only have they gone to multiple reprints, DC has made some variant covers for the event as well, like this 3rd print as well as this 4th print version here. I expect the 5th print to be a variant too. I just didn't have any image of it at the time I made this video. Whatever print you give this book is a must own, so pick it up. Next up is the Suicide Squad #3. This is drawn by Jim Lee and written by Rob Williams. This is the variant cover that's drawn by Lee Bermero. Yeah, I would get this. Next up is the Teen Titans Rebirth #1. Virtually all the Rebirth #1s have been excellent, so I don't see why not on this too. I've been a fan of the Titans since Marv Wolfman and George Perez did them back in 1980. It's the same series that introduced Deathstroke in issue #2. There he is, Slade Wilson in the background creeping. Shown here is the variant cover. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the Teen Titans in the new movie universe for DC. I like their all ages animated series, but they need to do a live version of them, and it's long overdue. Next up, let's see what Marvel is up to. And they need to come harder because DC is kicking their ass sales wise. First up is Deadpool #19. This is the return of Deadpool 2099. This character is so popular and so wacky, they can just do all kind of crazy stuff with Deadpool and get away with anything. Next up, more Deadpool with Deadpool Annual #1. This hilarious cover is a spoof of the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends animated series from the late 70s, early 80s. His sidekicks were Firestar and Iceman, of course Aunt May and Mary J. Watson and all those characters, which show up as well. I love these spoofs, and the people that write Deadpool have the best job in the world. They can trash 75 years of Marvel history and get paid for it. Next up is Doctor Strange Annual #1. I don't know about you, but I am excited for the upcoming movie. At the making of this video, we're about 6 weeks away. Shown here is the hip hop variant. Stephen Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme, and he kicks ass. Next up is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur #11. You may look at this and think it's kiddie stuff, but she's very important to the Marvel Universe now. It's been revealed that she's an Inhuman. This character has animated series written all over it, so don't miss the boat on her comic. The print runs are very small, so when it blows up, it's going to be hard to find. Next up is Star Wars #23. I've been telling you for months to be collecting the Star Wars and the Darth Vader ongoing comic. They're using the comic to fill in the gaps on what happened between New Hope and Empire. The writing is incredible and the artwork is phenomenal. And the action figure variants have been hugely successful. So successful that Marvel took it off of Star Wars and started doing action figure variants with all the other titles as well. In addition, they're introducing new characters that you may see in the movies, so you want to get these books non-stop every month without question. Next up is our report on independent comics and small publishers. First up is Animosity #1, which is going to a 4th print from Aftershock Comics. Aftershock is similar to Image Comics in that it's creator-owned work, and they're skipping superheroes and they're trying to concentrate on horror, suspense, drama. Animosity is their first true hit. It's a story about the animals decide to wake up one day and start talking and exact revenge against the humans that they viewed as their slave masters. But there is hope. It's the story of a little girl and her dog who stays loyal to her. If you can find issues 1 and 2 for less than $20 combined, you're doing a good job. Buy it. That limited variant I show is going to cost you a lot more than that. Next up is Tank Girl Gold #1 from Titan Comics. I'm a big fan of this character. She's been around since 1988. People just don't know that. And she's one of the most cosplayed characters out there in comics today. It's a story of a post-apocalyptic Australia, and there's a shortage of food and water, and she works as a mercenary and an outlaw that the authorities just can't catch. It has an ultra-violent, crazy comedy type of humor to it that if you like Deadpool and Harley Quinn, you should be following this character as well. She predates them anyway. Next up, and also from Titan Comics, is Vikings Uprising #1. This is a miniseries loosely based on the History Channel television show. Hey, it's about Vikings and it's got cool covers. This is worth a pickup because of that. Next up is Reincarnate #2 from Heavy Metal Magazine. They've been doing dystopian sci-fi since the 1970s in the magazine format, so they might as well do comics, and that's what they're doing now. If you're under 30, you may never have heard of the Heavy Metal movie. It's an adult movie rated R and animated, and it is phenomenal. You gotta go watch it. Next up is Killbox, which is going to a trade paperback from American Gothic Press. This trade is selling for about $15, and it collects all 4 issues from the miniseries. It's a critically acclaimed story about organized crime on the streets of LA. Next up is Lady Mechanica La Dama de la Muerte #1. I'm sure I'm butchering. From Benitez Productions. This is the key book about the steampunk movement. It's some of the best artwork on the comic market today. Speaking of phenomenal artwork, we have Conan the Slayer #3 from Dark Horse Comics. It has one of the best new up-and-coming artists in the game, Sergio Davila. The writer is Cullen Bunn, who's best known for Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. That's one hell of a team. You should be collecting this. Just look at that sketch art of the interior pages. Conan then, Conan now, Conan forever. Next up is Sentient #1 from Herbie's Press. A unassuming advertising illustrator begins having nightmares that bleed into everyday life. It sounds like something influenced by The Matrix, so I would pick it up. Next up is Raven Cho #1 from Shiro Comics. It's a tale of espionage and revenge. It's like Black Widow mashed up with Kill Bill. It's written by African-American woman Shakita L. Smith. She's very ambitious and she wants to turn this into a movie. The comic's not carried by Diamond, so if you want to get it, go to ravenchofilms.com and support this indie project. Next up is Zack Zombie Exterminator #1 from Coffin Comics. If this art looks familiar, that's because it's a homage cover to The Walking Dead #1, which is one of the most famous covers in the history of comics. By the way, Zack the Zombie Exterminator sells for $20, and that's because it's serial numbered and limited to 300 copies. Shown here is the Dead edition, and retailers get this if they order 3 copies of the regular edition. Next up is Josie and the Pussycats #1 from Archie Comics. Archie has a substantial hit on its hands with the spin-off Betty and Veronica, which is written and drawn by Adam Hughes. Since their first introductions, the Pussycats have captured that 1960s, 70s psychedelic feel. It's the sound that was captured by the Runaways, the all-girl group from the 1970s with Joan Jett, best known by their hit song Cherry Bomb, which appears on the awesome mix on the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. But back to the Pussycats comic. It has a whole bunch of homage covers like this Beatles Abbey Road, RIP to John Lennon and George Harrison. Absolutely classic. And the variants just keep on coming, like this Rolling Stone inspired Jason Scott Campbell exclusive variant, which is selling for about $30 pre-sale. Let me plug the Go-Go's cover from Rolling Stone. I just really like that. It's an awesome cover, by the way, but I always discourage people from paying premium prices for variants when they just come out. Next up, let's see what Valiant is up to. And that's going to be Generation Zero #2. This is a group of superpowered teens on the run, and it's sort of like New Mutants meets the A-Team, because they'll help out other young people if your cause is just and if you can find them. Next up is Bloodshot Reborn #17. If you're an adrenaline junkie, then this book is for you. It's nothing but non-stop action. I advise you to go back and try to find Bloodshot Reborn #14, which is the start of the Bloodshot Island storyline, and catch up from there because it's awesome. Next up is the Speculation Pick of the Week. And that's going to be XO Manowar #50. This is the conclusion of the Long Live the King storyline and the final issue of XO. And it's not ending because of poor sales, but because that's how Valiant gets down. They don't drag on things forever. There's a logical conclusion in the storyline, and they end it there. And of course that means some gorgeous variants, which you can see here. My rule on variants is, if they're cool looking, you like them, and they cost less than $10, then go ahead and pick it up. Like this variant right here, which is 50 different XOs from 50 different artists. But wait, that's not all. We must see what Image is up to before we close. First up is Deadly Class number 22. After a long summer break, this critically acclaimed series is back. It's a story about crime families and where they send the next generation of assassins to go to get trained. It was announced at SDCC that this is going to be picked up as a television show, which has caused Deadly Class number 1 from 2014 to explode in value. So I would recommend that you follow this title for sure. Next up is Descender number 15. The artist on this, Dustin Nguyen, has just won an Eisner for Best Multimedia Artist. I can't say enough about this title. It's just fantastic. Next up is Lake of Fire number 1, which is going to a second printing. Some aliens land in 13th century France, so you got aliens versus knights. If that sounds like a winning formula to you, then Lake of Fire number 2 also drops this week. Next up is Saga number 38. They probably have the best writer in the game and one of the top 5 artists in the game as well. They don't need variants or a whole bunch of gimmicks. They just sell their comic every month, and it's unbelievably good. And last but not least is Surgeon X number 1. It's a dystopian future where there's a far-right British government and an antibiotic apocalypse is going on. Here to save the day is Surgeon X and her renegade practice. You just can't predict what Image comic is going to blow up, so you might as well get every number 1 that comes out. For $4, that's low risk and high reward. That's about it for today. Thank you for watching Wicked Wednesday, where I review all the new comic books for a new comic day. Be sure to follow my blog at comicpower.net. On social media, follow me at facebook.com/comicpower.net and comicpower-universe.tumblr.com. And don't forget twitter.com/comicpowersub. I also sell comics on eBay at this link. This is Comic Killer 72 for Comic Power saying bye-bye. And don't forget to share this video, click on subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and tell everyone you know about this channel to help it grow. Thank you for your support.